Guys, so it seems like the theme of the Biden administration really is to rub conservatives the wrong way, right? Just rub conservatives the wrong way, okay? And put America last, right? Just prove to everybody that Trump was right. He has an America first agenda, and the Democrat have an America last agenda. Because we've already seen how Biden has handled this border crisis, right? In the sense that, he rolled back some Trump policies that probably have disincentivized people to come, right? While at the same time encouraging them to come. And then once they get here, he's paying millions of taxpayer dollars to house them in, hotels for $300 to $400 a night. Okay. And you also have reports of, these undocumented migrants getting in-person learning in some of these detention centers and these holding places, such as the story that came out of San Diego, right? In which they had the teachers giving them in-person learning while the children of American taxpayers have to get remote learning. Okay. Now you have this story about how the U.S. is considering cash payments to Central America to stem migration. It seems like the Biden administration is determined to try everything in the book. And I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, this right here is not good politics, right? And this is part of the reason why, I don't think I realistically will ever run for office, because this right here is actually bad for politics. But at the same time, if you're trying to solve the immigration crisis, it is one of those ideas that probably does have some merit. But you can never sell that to the public. You can never sell this to the public. So let's read a little bit more. The United States is considering a conditional cash transfer program to help address economic woes that lead migrants from certain Central American countries to trek north, as well as sending COVID-19 vaccines to those countries, a senior White House official told Reuters on Friday. The potential program would be targeted at people in the Northern Triangle region of Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. Roberta Jacobson, the White House Southern Border Coordinator, told Reuters in an interview without saying who exactly would receive cash. Roughly 168,000 people were picked up by the U.S. Border Patrol agents at the U.S.-Mexico border in March, the highest monthly tally since 2001, and part of a steadily increasing arrivals in recent months. Quote, we're looking at all the productive options to address both the economic reasons people are migrating as well as the protection and security reasons, Jacobson said. She did not provide a detailed explanation of how a cash transfer program would work. The one thing I can promise you is that the U.S. government isn't going to be handing out money or checks to people, Jacobson said. Funny, right? Because she's saying that I can guarantee you that the U.S. government is not going to be handing out checks and money to people. But she didn't say that the government that they're giving the money to wouldn't be handing out money and checks to people, right? Those are two different things. Because we're discussing a cash transfer payment. And this is why I told you guys, this is a political conundrum. Right? This is a political conundrum, right? There's no way they can frame this to sound right. So out of one side of their mouth, they're saying they're considering sending cash payments. But out the other side of their mouth, they're saying that, well, we're not handing out checks to people, right? The U.S. government isn't handing out checks to people, to be exact. But what they didn't say is that the U.S. government wasn't giving money to the governments of those countries to then distribute the money. Let's read more here. Jacobson said no decision has been made regarding whether to prioritize sending vaccines to the Northern Triangle countries, but said that President Joe Biden's administration would consider how vaccines could help the country's ailing economies. She said the vaccine issue remains separate from immigration-related discussions within the nations. Jacobson will leave the White House at the end of April. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said in a statement on Friday, saying she had committed to the role for the first 100 days of the new administration. Biden in late March tapped Vice President Kamala Harris to lead U.S. efforts with Mexico and Central America to address the number of migrants heading north. Central American countries have faced some of the longest waits in the Americas to get their first vaccines. Frustrated by the time it has taken, some regional governments have begun turning to China and Russia for help, with increasing success. Biden, who took office on January 20th, has called for $4 billion in development aid to Central America over 4 years to address underlying causes of migration. On Friday, the White House requested $861 million from Congress for that effort in Biden's first annual budget proposal. That will be a sharp increase from the roughly $500 million in aid this year. Kevin McCarthy, the top Republican in the U.S. House of Representatives, criticized the idea of cash transfers. It's insulting to millions of Americans who are out of work or facing despair in our country, he said in a statement Friday evening. A spokesperson for the U.S. Agency for International Development, which administers foreign aid, told Reuters in a statement that it is already using cash transfers in programs to help people meet their basic needs in the wake of severe hurricanes in Central America in late 2020. USAID is considering expanding the efforts going forward, the spokesperson said. The United States in the past has used the USAID's Office of Transition Initiatives to fund work for cash programs in post-conflict nations such as Colombia. Such programs can include labor-intensive rural road building projects. Among the other options for cash transfers would be to channel funds to individuals through international or local non-government organizations that would vet them. A person familiar with the matter told Reuters. I told you, just because they say that the U.S. government won't be giving out stimulus checks, don't mean that other organizations that get money from the U.S. won't be giving out stimulus checks. This is how the game goes, okay? Mexico has proposed similar cash transfer programs as an option during recent meetings with U.S. envoys in Mexico City. A senior Mexican official said the Mexican government has piloted such projects on a limited scale in Central America, modeled on cash grants it gives to the young, unemployed, and small farmers, a key pillar of President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador's domestic welfare programs. All right, guys, so I think that Kevin McCarthy is 100% correct. And it is a slap in the face to the American people, right? And from a political analysis perspective, the Biden administration is doing a bad job at appearing to be moderate, right? Because I would say at first, when they first took over, I think they did do a pretty decent job, right, at trying to appear to be moderate. But Biden and his gun control executive action, and when it comes to expanding the Supreme Court, right, potentially weighing down those things, and now you have the Biden administration basically saying that they might be sending stimulus checks to Central America. I think the Republican attack line of Biden putting America last, right, in reference to illegal immigration and other countries, probably is going to be a pretty strong point of attack for the Republicans, right? And going into 2022, the Republicans honestly can just use this line of attack to go after Biden, and I think it's going to be pretty successful because a lot of people in this country do like stimulus checks, and they've come to appreciate stimulus checks. And there's one thing that we have figured out in this country, right, during the Trump saga, when, they were negotiating that second stimulus bill, in which had the budget attached to it as well. American citizens hate when we send money to other countries, right? They hate when we send money to other countries. And I really don't think that people are going to sympathize with Biden sending stimulus checks to Central America, even if it's in an effort to stop immigration. Because one, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. And two, Biden didn't even execute on his stimulus check promise. He told people that he was going to get it passed immediately as soon as he gets in office. And that was not on his agenda. He spent more time trying to go after Trump than they did actually trying to pass stimulus, right? And then once they actually decided they were going to work on stimulus, they were doing $1,400 checks instead of $2,000 checks, right? So Biden really, when it comes to stimulus stuff, he's not really in a position where, I would be trying to give stimulus checks or send money to these other countries, right? Like in a situation like this, especially in the form of cash payments to individuals, whether you're doing it directly or through, a non-government organization. I don't think it really matters. People aren't stupid, okay? You can read between the lines. Now, there's an argument to be made that a part of solving the immigration problem is addressing the problems in Central America, right? Why are they coming in the first place? Okay. And, in my opinion, even though I don't like the idea of them sending stimulus checks to Central America, it's one of those things where it's like, well, technically, if, they're paying them to stay, that kind of solves our problem to a certain extent, because it is actually costing us money for them to come here. I think it's like, what, $60 million a week? Right? It's costing us. So it could be one of those things that, from a budgetary perspective, if it saves money over the long term in regards to preventing people to come here, it could be worth a shot. But obviously, this is not something you can sell to the American people. You just can't sell it to them. Right? So in my opinion, I think that, Biden lately has been opening himself up to more legitimate lines of attacks from Republicans that probably can work against the Democrats come 2022. And if I'm the Biden administration, I would be careful. I would be really, really careful going forward in terms of trying not to do too much at one time. Okay? Because the Biden administration is trying to pass his infrastructure bill. They're trying to send cash payments to other countries to prevent migration. Right? They're also thinking about expanding the Supreme Court. They're also trying to do gun legislation, right, and gun reform. They're trying to pass the Equality Act. They're trying to pass the Voting Rights Act. They're trying to do a lot. They're trying to do a lot of things that I think that people are going to feel uncomfortable with. So again, from a political analysis perspective, the Republicans are getting some red meat from Biden, right? They're getting some red meat in which they can really start to hammer Biden on some of his America Last tendencies, right? Because that's literally what it sounds like. And this is one of those things that I just don't think is going to bode well politically if this actually picks up and it gets national attention. But who knows? The liberal media always ignores the most important stories from the Biden administration that make him look bad. But it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.